Hi, everyone. This is Brian from Keller Williams, and today I'd like to talk about the disclosures. This is a document that the sellers fill out about the general condition and the history of the home since they've lived there. Okay. Now, sellers, this is very important document here. Okay. You must answer every question honestly. Okay. I'm going to give some examples in a little bit, but I want to make this point very, very clear. If there's one thing that's going to land you in court 2 years from now, it's lying on the disclosures or embellishing the truth on the disclosures. Okay. This is a very important document that you fill out. In fact, it's considered so sacred, I am not allowed to touch that document when being filled out. I cannot influence you on how to do it. Of course, if you have a general question on defining what something means, that's okay. But I cannot tell you what to put on these disclosures. You have to answer this yourself, okay? So what are on the disclosures? Well, for example, there's a lot of yes and no questions. And different things in a house, like what appliances are staying, attic fans, things like that. So you'll see different places to check off. You have yes means that it stays and it works. No means that it stays but does not work. Unknown means you don't know if you have it, and unavailable means that you don't have it. Okay. This will make more sense when we actually sit down and have the actual form in front of us. But just a quick definition there, because as you can tell, this is written by lawyers, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of explaining. so, but getting back to answering the questions about the condition and history of the home, here's an example. So let's say you moved in a house 10 years ago. You had a leak in the roof and you put a new roof on the house. Okay. You need to disclose that. Okay. Now, people often ask, like, well, if I got it fixed, do I need to disclose it? And the answer is yes. Okay. Because what will happen is the buyer will come along and they'll have the home inspection and they'll see like the water staining on, the underside of the roof. And they'll say there was a leak here at some point. If they go back to those disclosures and you did not mention that there was a leak in the roof, then that's a problem. That means you're not acting in good faith. That means you're potentially deceiving the buyer. Okay. Now, most sellers don't intend to do this, but this is why we need to pay really good attention to this form when we fill it out. Okay. And let me tell you something. We agents are used to seeing things on the disclosures. Okay. Like this is a great example. You bought the roof 10 years ago. 8 years ago, there was a leak. You had the roof repaired. Obviously, there's no roof, no problem since. So an example of how you would fill that out on a disclosure would be 10 years ago, there was a leak, new roof replaced by, licensed contractor, no problem since, right? And this is the year, right? See, that's a really good example. So you're recognizing the fact that there was a leak, but you're also recognizing the fact that it was repaired and that you have not had any problems since. Okay. That's a really simple example, and actually a very common example, because we all know we got to replace our roofs at some point, right? So anyway, that's an example of how you would answer those questions. And of course, if you don't know an answer to something, like a lot of times on an older home, like a historic home, they ask like what kind of insulation you have. You can honestly check unknown because you don't know what are in those walls or in that ceiling, right? So again, the point of the disclosures is to answer it honestly with detail, and we won't have any legal issues if we do. So anyway, that's the basic rundown on disclosures. Thanks so much.